When I was locked up originally, they called it mass murderer. Anybody who killed more than 2 or 3 people was a mass murderer. Serial killing, which was living 2 lives, basically. If one orients to the negative side of that living, he would say this person was living a cover life that was wrapped around doing those crimes, and which couldn't be very realistic. Someone doesn't live their life to murder people.
Edmund Kemper, a towering figure both in stature and infamy, was not just a brutal serial killer. He was the epitome of calculated cruelty. Known as the co-ed killer, his spree of murders shocked the nation, culminating in a chilling finale where he turned himself in after years of evading suspicion.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Can you say how many people might be doing crimes like you were doing?
It would be a guess, but it's not. It's far more than 35.
And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15.
Edmund Kemper was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California. His childhood was troubled, marked by a toxic relationship with his mother, Clarnell Strandberg, who verbally abused and belittled him.
Parents divorced when I was young. My mother started drinking heavily. She drank more. She punished us harder, probably out of desperation. So character sets were being developed at that point. Rather than me going to Boy Scouts and getting achievement badges, I was not going to Boy Scouts and not getting achievement badges. I was finding devious ways to get around the rules of the home. Their life was not set for that from birth. From my point of view, what I saw was there was a great hole in my life. There was a lot missing from my life, and it didn't necessarily mean feelings. It meant I had walled off this emptiness in my life. Okay, I had an upbringing that was some have called dysfunctional.
At a young age, Kemper exhibited disturbing behavior, including decapitating his sister's dolls, a harbinger of the violent impulses that would later define him. By the age of 15, Kemper's dark tendencies turned deadly. In 1964, he murdered his grandparents while living with them in North Fork, California. After an argument with his grandmother, he shot her, and later, when his grandfather returned home, Kemper killed him as well. He would later claim that he killed his grandmother to see what it felt like, and his grandfather to spare him from seeing his wife dead.
And so I went back down, I ran away back down there. And then a month later, I'm up living with my grandparents in the mountains, and 10 months later, I murdered them. It made it worse to be on top of a mountain. I was literally on top of a mountain when it happened. And I sensed everybody in the world just stopping what they were doing, turning around, saw what I did, and are coming to get me. And I knew I was paranoid at that moment. I knew anybody that came up there and gave me a funny look or a fishy eye or quizzical look, I'd have blown their brains out thinking they were coming to get me.
Following the murders, Kemper was sent to a Atascadero State Hospital, where he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Kemper's intelligence played a significant role in his early release. In 1969, at the age of 21, after convincing psychiatrists that he had recovered, he was released on parole into his mother's custody, a decision that would have deadly consequences. After his release, Kemper's homicidal urges grew. Between 1972 and 1973, he began his infamous co-ed killer spree, targeting young female hitchhikers near Santa Cruz, California.
When that gun was pulled out, I launched it out. I had it under my leg, out of sight, parallel to my leg in the seat. It was something that had been thought out in fantasy, acted out, felt out, hundreds of times.
Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos. Kemper's massive size, calm demeanor, and smooth talking skills allowed him to gain the trust of his victims easily. Kemper's typical method involved picking up his victims, driving them to a secluded area, and then murdering them, usually by shooting or strangulation. After killing them, Kemper would mutilate and dismember the bodies, sometimes keeping body parts as trophies. His victims were often college students from the area, leading to a widespread fear of hitchhiking. He murdered 6 young women during this time, including Aiko Koo, a 15-year-old high school student, and Cindy Shaw, a 19-year-old Cabrillo college student. Kemper would often return to his mother's house with the bodies, where he further desecrated them before disposing of their remains. The culmination of Kemper's violence came on April 20, 1973, when he turned his rage on the person he resented most, his mother. Kemper bludgeoned Clarnell to death with a claw hammer while she slept and decapitated her, further mutilating her body. In a grotesque final act, he placed her severed head on a shelf and screamed at it for hours, fulfilling his long-harbored fantasies of revenge. Kemper didn't stop there. The same evening, he invited his mother's best friend, Sally Hallett, to the house and killed her too, seemingly to cover his tracks. Despite the enormity of his crimes, it wasn't a police manhunt that ended Edmund Kemper's reign of terror. It was his own conscience. After murdering his mother, Kemper fled to Colorado, but soon after, he called the police from a phone booth and confessed to the murders of his mother, her friend, and the 6 co-eds. Initially, the police didn't believe him due to his calm demeanor, but after repeated calls, Kemper was arrested. When asked why he turned himself in, Kemper said he had grown tired of the killings and wanted the madness to stop. During his confessions, Kemper provided detailed, chilling accounts of how he lured, killed, and desecrated his victims. Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos. Further shocking investigators with his calm and articulate manner. In November 1973, Edmund Kemper was convicted of 8 counts of first-degree murder. During the trial, he requested the death penalty, but due to the moratorium on capital punishment in California at the time, he was sentenced to life imprisonment instead. Kemper remains incarcerated at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, where he has become a model prisoner, assisting with psychological evaluations and even narrating books for the blind. Edmund Kemper's horrific crimes continue to captivate and terrify true crime enthusiasts. His high intelligence, cooperation with law enforcement, and detailed confessions have made him one of the most infamous serial killers in history. His case has also raised important questions about early release and the complexities of mental illness in violent offenders. To this day, Kemper remains behind bars, where he has been denied parole multiple times. His chilling interviews and confessions still provide insight into the mind of a murderer, leaving a lasting imprint on the study of criminal psychology. The terrifying saga of Edmund Kemper reveals the dangers that can arise when unresolved psychological issues are coupled with unchecked violence. From his early murders to his eventual capture, Kemper's story is a disturbing journey into the mind of a man who preyed on those who trusted him, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos.